The World Cup is upon us, Qatar 2022, and with any World Cup, there's plenty to discuss. This one particularly so, just ask Mr. Blatter. So we've decided to tackle our own World Cup questions in the arena where the greatest football debates have been settled and possibly started. The coffee shop. This is Kopi Talk, and I'm joined by my Straits Times Sports Desk colleagues,
Sazali Abdulaziz
and
Deepanraj Ganesan.
now, Sazali is actually going to Qatar. Lucky chap, he'll be off overseas. Are you looking forward to it?
Very much so, yeah.
Now, there are lots of new aspects to this World Cup. It's the first time it's being held in the Middle East. It's the first time it's being held at this time of year. But there are a couple of old aspects that are really getting people's attention. Namely, that this could be the last World Cup for Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. They're two players who are always at the top of the debate of who's the greatest of all time. Now, this World Cup could settle that debate if you believe in fairy tales. Sazali, are you the romantic type?
I would like to think so, but then again, whether Portugal have what it takes to go all the way, I'm not so sure. The tournament draw, as you know, has set it up for a possible Messi-Ronaldo final.
The path is there.
The path is there. If both teams top their groups or they finish both second. And I think there's a very real chance they will top their groups, their respective groups. But having said that, I think Argentina have a lot more strength in that to go all the way than Portugal.
So basically, Argentina is the better team now?
Yeah, yep, definitely. I would count them as one of the top
Which
favorites.
is interesting because both players have been, well, they've had the accusation that they are lifting their teams or the teams are built around them. Now, is that different this time?
I would say for Argentina it's a bit different. I think Lionel Messi is in form, but so are the rest of the Argentinian players. I think they've got a good team built around Messi. But for Portugal, I think on the flip side, I think Ronaldo brings them down. Because if you look at this Portuguese team, I think it's packed with talent from defense all the way up front. But Ronaldo is going to be in the first 11 just because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think that will be Portugal's downfall because as you can see with Manchester United, Ronaldo is not a first 11 player at the moment.
But this is not Manchester United, please.
No, but he's seeing a lot of the bench.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you're not going to bring Ronaldo all the way to the World Cup and chuck him on the bench.
What are you bringing Ronaldo for?
I think, yeah, exactly. So there's an argument to be made that your best team may not necessarily be your best 11 players on form or even when you build a squad, it goes by the same principle. You know, there's a lot of other intangible factors that go on. Ronaldo brings a lot of leadership. He's a talisman for the team.
You're a believer in the lucky charm aspect.
Well, not
that
exactly
he doesn't
lucky
need
charm.
to be the best player, but just his presence there is enough
Pretty
to buoy
much,
the team.
you said it all in the intro. He's one of the greatest players of his generation.
He is, but at the
Just
moment,
to have him on the pitch.
So would you give a call to Luis Figo and Ricardo Carvalho? I mean, since you say leadership is important, why not have them as well for leadership, that aura? You know, I don't think football works in that way anymore.
I would call them up to sit on the bench. Yeah.
There you have it. You would call them.
But okay, do you actually want to see this? I mean,
Yeah, I would
do you
love.
want to see this fight?
Yeah, I would love to because Ronaldo and Messi, they are the two of the greatest players of all time, and I think the younger audience, they won that final. It's almost like a movie, you know. I mean, you could already picture the trailer before the final, the numerous highlights on YouTube that you know will build up to the final. So bring it on, I would say.
I mean, they are very different players. You could arguably say that Ronaldo is the more selfish player compared to Messi.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's interesting this season as well is that they have both shown that they're at a different stage of their career. I think Messi has changed incredibly the way that he plays. He's much deeper now than before. And Ronaldo, he is showing that, you know, he is an out-and-out number 9 at the moment. No longer, you know, drifting out to the wings because he can't do that physically anymore. So I think it's a very interesting one, but I know for sure the younger audience will want this final. It will be at the top of their wish list.
Okay, I'm going to ask the big question then. Actually, two big questions. One, who's the better player, Ronaldo or Messi? And two, is this actually going to be their World Cup? Because compared to the years back, you know, players were done by 27, but they could easily, based on current form, even Ronaldo's current form, you could imagine him stretching into World Cup 2026.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that if Ronaldo scores at this World Cup, he'll become the first player ever to score in 5 consecutive World Cups, and that's a record that it's incredible that he's likely to achieve it. Come on, he's going to score at least 1 goal.
Even from the bench.
Even from the bench, I think he'll score at least 1 goal. But to answer your question, I think Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, they're both talented players. But if I had to pick, I would say Messi, because you just love to watch him play. Whereas Ronaldo, you can respect him for his hard work, but he's no Messi for me.
Yeah, so this one, it's a question that it depends on how you look at it. I just had this debate in the newsroom a couple of days ago. So I think Ronaldo is the greater player, but the more talented player is Messi. Because when you talk about what makes a great player, there's a lot of factors that come into play. Hard work, teamwork, longevity. Yes, and it's almost a checklist. So it depends on what you look at. But if you talk about pure footballing talent, like what Deepan said, he's the one you want to see if you want to just sort of kick back, relax, and see some skills. You know what I mean, and some football beauty.
And to add to Sa's point, I think a lot of coaches at the grassroots level, at the youth development level, the player that they ask the boys to watch would be Cristiano Ronaldo, because to show what he has become through hard work, grit, and determination. So Ronaldo is an example for all young men, young footballers out there. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So who's the better player for you? You haven't answered that one yet.
The better player is Messi. The greater player is Ronaldo. I'm going to make this as hard as possible.
Yeah, clearly. Do you think they're going to be the last World Cup for both of them?
Yeah, I do think so. I
Really?
know Ronaldo says he wants to play until he's 40 and into his 40s, and
He can while he's on the bench.
and Argentina coach Lionel Scaloni has said he wants Messi to come back at the next World Cup in the USA when he's 39. Wishful
not
thinking.
unfeasible.
It's not unfeasible, but it's wishful thinking. Messi's already thinking about going to the US to play his club football to wind down.
Oh wow! Okay.
You know what I mean? So for him to play in the US for another 4 years, and then
And of course, if he does get to the final of this World Cup, that's going to be his 1,000th match.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I mean, the fact that if he gets to the final, that being his 1,000th game, it's written in the stars almost, right? So, I would really love to see that.
Now, whilst we talk about these older players, it seems to me that a lot of younger players aren't getting the exposure of these two older guys. Now, is that because there's a dearth of young talent out there? Deepan, what do you think?
I don't think so. I think what is the key difference here is that Ronaldo and Messi, they are pure goal scorers, right? I mean, you look at YouTube highlights, you'll always see the amount of goals that they've scored. Whereas the younger players that are up and coming, they're a bit different. I mean, I'm talking about your likes of England's Jude Bellingham, Spain's Pedri and Gavi. They're all players that are ball players. They dictate the pace of the game. They're dynamic players. So it's very different from Ronaldo and Messi. Actually, if you look at the World Cup over the years, you always see young talents coming through. And I think similarly in Qatar, you're going to see a boatload of talents. I mean, even you look at Germany, they have a 17-year-old who's going to make his debut. Australia, Garang Cole. So I think if you actually dig into the teams, there are a lot of young talents waiting to come through, and this could be the World Cup for them.
So I think it speaks more to how exceptional Ronaldo and Messi have been in the last 20 years or so, more than that there's a dearth of talent. You mentioned Moukoko, it's a sad thing he won't be coming to Singapore to play with Borussia Dortmund, but he's going to be at the World Cup. There's even Man United talents like Hannibal and that will feature at the World Cup. You mentioned Bellingham, he's my pick. I think he is, I love the kid. I think he is an incredible player, and not just that, I know it sounds silly, but he reminds me of a young Haris Harun. I spoke to Haris when Haris was 16. In terms of the mentality, it's like they are so mature above their years.
Yeah.
It's mad. He's 19. He's captaining Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. He's playing England, Germany, and becoming man of the match. Like, who does that at 19? You know what I mean?
Of course, there's always a risk because he's with England, and England like to field established types rather than fresh young talent, as it were. Not in the World Cup anyway.
Yeah.
He might not even play.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that risk of seeing a half-fit, Jordan Henderson play ahead of him, with Declan Rice in midfield. But I think, Southgate, as loyal as he is to his generals, I think he can't overlook Bellingham.
So there is talent out there. It's just not as, for want of a better word, as sexy as the goal scoring types.
Yeah,
but
they don't get as much
Yeah, but you
headlines.
know what's interesting is in this World Cup, I think what's changed is that over the years, a lot of people have become invested into who their respective clubs buy in the transfer market. So I think at this particular World Cup, people will be looking out at lesser teams, the young players, to see who their club can sign in the next transfer window. So I think it's going to be a bit of a different World Cup. I think a lot of people will be watching even the lesser games to spot unknown talent.
So this is a World Cup that's very much more a shop window than before.
Yeah, I do feel so, especially because it's mid-season. It's a different kind of timing than usual. I think people will be taking out their notebooks and writing down notes about players.
All right. And finally, just before we go, the final question, the big question. What's your prediction for the winner of the World Cup? Sazali?
For me, the football conquerors, Brazil. They were the first team to win outside their own continent. They were the first team to win in Asia, and who better to win the first World Cup in the Arab world and the Winter World Cup? So Brazil for
And you
sure.
think that's very possible? It's not
Yes,
just a want,
yeah.
it's a...
I mean, they enter the tournament as world number ones. They actually have a good balance. In many ways, they're very similar to Argentina in terms of how their team has been assembled and the balance that their team has. You know, South American teams traditionally, more attacking minded, and then they sort of let goals in at the back. But Brazil and Argentina have both really, shot their defenses up, and that makes them serious contenders. So, I am backing Brazil.
And you're going to get to see Brazil in Qatar.
Yep, I'm booked to see their first game against Serbia, and I think they're really going to lay down a marker in that game.
Okay, Deepan, who do you think is going to win it? Who's your big choice?
Yeah, I think the Qatar 2022 World Cup has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons so far, but I think Qatar will be where Lionel Messi seals his status as the greatest footballer of all time. He's going to live the World Cup.
Wow, okay, there's a dream. And with that, that's where we'll leave it. Both my colleagues say it's going to be a South American winner for World Cup 2022. We'll have to see how well their predictions turn out. One of us believes in miracles more than the other. Although, in the past, you did say Uruguay, right? You were thinking Uruguay as well?
That's my dark horses.
Oh, the dark horse.
He loves
Okay.
Darwin Núñez.
Of course. Well, whether you're into dark horses, miracles, or football conquerors, go to straitstimes.com to get all your footballing action, and check out Straits Times Sports Desk on Instagram for even more content. And for now, that's Kopi Talk. Goodbye.